Good evening and welcome to the Boys on the Bus podcast. This is your bus home all the way from Rotterdam. It's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 3. Do not adjust your sets. This is the day when we win away. How you doing, Phil?
Absolutely top of the world, mate. Football indeed is a funny old game. How you can go from the absolute dregs that we saw on Saturday night, scraping it with a wonder goal, to tonight's performance. We were confident, mature, street smart at times as well. Something that we've talked about Celtic, especially away from Europe. And yeah, when it comes to an away win in Europe, it's a very rare thing. But my God, it's fantastic when Celtic pull it off. And tonight, thoroughly deserved it, and looking very much forward to talking about it.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that. I said last weekend that tonight was just a pain in the ass, really. It was something that was in the way of where we needed to be, with all roads pointing to Easter Road. But I knew once the game started, my mindset would obviously change, because when the game's there, you want to get the best result possible. I was hopeful rather than confident, but I don't really know where that hope came from, because we don't win away from home in Europe. We certainly haven't. But we'll touch on all of that. Phil, run you off with all that good stuff, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty.
No worries at all, mate. So yes, as Terry says, do all that good stuff, as you know how that works now, because if you've watched us long enough, you'll know this as well as I know it before I even say it. So yes, hit the like button, helps us out with the traction on YouTube, gets us recommended to more people. As we're live right now, you hit that like button. If there's Celtic fans out there that likes the podcast-related content, then we might pop up on the YouTube in the next few minutes, and then they can jump on with us as well. Of course, if you just discovered us, you can hit the subscribe button if you like what we do on this channel. We appreciate it massively. We've passed the 1,000 mark, and we're heading towards 1,500. We'll call it the next milestone. So yeah, if we can hit that, who knows when that will happen. But hit the subscribe button along the way. Hit the bell notification so that you are reminded when we are on the road, and get involved in the comment section tonight. It's already a busy one. Plenty of people coming in, celebrating tonight's great victory. And remember to share the link of this channel far and wide. Obviously, we're still relatively new, having moved on from the Bhoys bus in the summer to this channel. Obviously, we want to get the awareness of this channel out there. So if you see a tweet promoting a show, then by all means retweet it and spread awareness. And of course, if you want to become a Boys in the Bus member and get your virtual Celtic scarf next to your name on YouTube, then you can do so for $1.99 a month. All of our content, again, remains free. It will always be on YouTube, and we'll never put it behind a paywall. But again, it just keeps some diesel in the old petrol tank. And well, that's said and done, Terry.
Diesel in the petrol tank. This match has gone. This match has gone to your head.
Diesel in the diesel tank.
The bad thing, obviously, about coming off the Bhoys bus was that we were starting from scratch. One of the good things is that we will get to go past that milestone again, where one lucky subscriber gets to become the 1,888th.
Oh yeah.
And then we have a 1,967 as well. So that'll be happening in the next 900 odd. So we're going to get through this. Martin O'Neill continues to get a Ferrari tune out of a Honda Civic. One thing that I'm pleased about, and at this point I haven't seen any of the post-match, so don't even know if Martin's still the manager. Everything seems to point to he'll continue till Sunday. What I'm pleased about is that the younger team, who would have heard stories about Martin O'Neill and would never in their wildest dreams have expected to ever get to experience having the man at the helm. And he's not the same guy as he was then. He's older, he's frail. He hasn't lost much of his wit. He probably hasn't lost a lot of his energy either. The amount of times he had to be told to get back into his technical area because he was up and down the side. I'm just really pleased that people who were too young to experience Martin O'Neill the first time have, by some twist of fate, got a chance to experience what would have always been a myth of a guy who used to be there in the past. And only Martin O'Neill could come back to Celtic at 73 years old and enhance what was already a really strong legacy. Now, if we get beat on Sunday, I'm going to take all that back again. But assuming we get a positive result on Sunday, out of the games where he's been there, Mitchell in first half aside, St Mirren was poor, very, very poor, but the result was all important. We would not have got that set of results had we not made the change. Definitely not. And I think it's the right time. I still think it's the right time to bring in a permanent manager. I think there's no point kicking this can down the road 5-6 months. My only hope is that when Wilfred comes in, is that he doesn't try to change too much too quick.
Yeah.
Because what we've found in this last month or 6 weeks or whatever it is, it's only a month really, we found a bit of stability, and I feel if we just stayed the way we are now, I think we would win the league and we'd have a really good chance of winning the 2 cups. But I still think it's the right thing to change the manager. I just don't want him to come in first game, he moves to this 3-4-3 or whatever it is that he wants to play, and everybody's standing around looking at each other wondering what the hell do we do now. But anyway, that's for down the line. Let's look at tonight's game. Lineup, Phil. A few of the chats that I was in, there were a few moans and groans when this lineup went up, particularly around Donovan, around Hatate, around Yang, and around, I would say, McKeown as well, particularly out on the right-hand side. Again, in the build-up to this game, I was prioritising Sunday. I was thinking, do you know what? If he makes changes with Sunday in mind, I can probably buy into that. However, when I did see this team, I thought, he's made changes. Do you know what I mean? You would look at that and go, that's our strongest team. McKeown, whilst I think he played wide earlier in his career, I think that was primarily on the left. So I don't know that he's played on the right very much. Donovan, after the initial fanfare, which was much deserved, I think kind of that's wore off a little bit, although I thought he was very, very good tonight. I thought he just reaffirmed what we were saying about him when he was when he had come into the team. And Hatate, a figure of frustration for many people for much of the season. He's back in again. What was your thoughts?
My thoughts were just pretty much what you've said there. The first 2 names that jumped out at me were obviously Yang, for quite obvious reasons. Many fans are sort of done with the Yang and feel that experiment has ran its course. Shows what I know, because obviously he scored the first goal. And the other one that jumped out at me was obviously Hatate. And again, showing what I know, because he scored the second goal. Because on nights like tonight, your mindset is we don't tend to do very well, especially away from home in Europe. We always do stupid things and shoot ourselves in the foot. Or self-inflicted stuff, so you don't want to give the ball away in stupid areas, and Hatate obviously does give the ball away quite a lot. So when I saw him there, especially in that midfield trio, which has been played, I'd say either Reegan or Engels rotate out, but Hatate, McGregor with one of the 2, that always seems to not have there's something about it just doesn't seem to work. So when I saw it was Engels, Hatate, McGregor, it was like, oh, this could be a bit of a rocky night, this one. Because I was like, you going into this game, I was very much very demotivated about it. I mean, I'm always up for a European night, but the way the group had gone so far, I just felt like, we are hanging on by dear life here. Looking at the draw at the start, my thought was win against Braga at home, win against Utrecht at home, and beat Sturm Graz at home, and then try and get a point on the road, and that'll give you 10 points. But when we lost to Braga, I said on here, we now need to try and pick up a result away from home somewhere to try and negate what's happened tonight against Braga.
Yeah.
And obviously, Midtjylland was the fixture that I think most fans would have looked at. That, of course, went completely Pete Tong because they are a lot better than many people give them credit for. And this one, going into this, I'm like, well, we've been beat by Midtjylland. What chance have we got against Feyenoord? But my God, again, showing what I know. Absolutely diddly squat, as it seems. And they all played their part tonight. Yang, Hatate, quite happy to eat humble pie on that one. I think they had their moments tonight, obviously, with the goals they scored and other work that they did on the ball and off the ball. And yeah, I think every player deserves a massive pat on the back tonight. They all put in a massive, massive shift to get the result and keep us very much alive in this this Europa League stage.
Yeah, so there'll probably be a bit of a narrative. Feyenoord are really out of form. They are obviously having their own issues with UEFA, with 10,000 fans banned from tonight for letting off fireworks, who then proceeded to let off fireworks from outside the stadium into the stadium at one point. I'm not buying into that. And one of the reasons I'm not buying into that, if you look at the Dutch league table now, the narrative would lead you to suggest Feyenoord are sitting in the relegation stages. They're in second place, and the only team above them are PSV, the same PSV who went to the Premier League, the English Premier League champions last night and won 4-1. So they ain't all that bad. But what this shows you is what I believe is a lot of football it's in the mind, and it's all of these guys can play football, but the parts that are harder to measure and the parts that make a difference, which are not just about football ability, are about your mentality, your desire, your hunger, your will to win, your confidence, the momentum that the team's carrying, all of those kind of things all of those things mean a hell of a lot. It's not just about getting the best team of footballers and putting them on a pitch and then matches happen. And that's why every single match has got its own little story to tell. Even look at the St Mirren one. If you measure the St Mirren players against the Feyenoord players, man for man, nobody from that St Mirren team would get anywhere near the Feyenoord team. Yet we cannot create a chance against St Mirren in 92 and a half minutes. But tonight we go away to the team sitting second in Holland, and we put in a performance like that. Now, it wasn't perfect, and there was a little period where I felt Feyenoord potentially were looking like drawn level. But you're not going to go to a game like this and totally dominate it for the full 90. You're going to have spells where a team of that quality, I don't care what form they're in, with the quality that they've got, you're going to have spells in the game where they dominate and they're going to create chances. That's just normal. It's how you defend during that period and how quickly you can come out of that period and reassert. There was, for much of that second half, certainly at the first part of it, Celtic were totally dominant. And then with about 25 minutes to go, there was maybe a spell then for about 15 minutes where Feyenoord turned the screw. You could visibly see some of the Celtic players were getting really, really tired. And that's just normal. But we came out of that spell and we went and done something that we don't normally do. We go and we kill the game off with a ruthless finish. And then that's the game done. But the game could have started so well for us because Luke McCowan contrived to hit the ball over the bar when it was virtually on the goal line. Now, his blushes were saved by a linesman's flag, but about 15 minutes later, the commentator then gave us an update from the VAR room that actually had that gone to review, that goal would have stood. So it's one of those ones when you see it given offside, you're going, well, at least it wouldn't have been given. But now we know that it actually would have been given. That's got to be one of the worst misses you've ever seen from a player playing for Celtic.
It is indeed. In this VAR day and age, regardless, you've got to just stick the ball in the net and it'll get reviewed. You've got to just make sure you take the chance when it comes. How many times, again, like I said earlier on about Celtic being their own worst enemy in European night, shooting themselves in the foot somehow. At that point in the game, we're 1-0 down and we've missed that chance. But again, it seemed like a pretty slam dunk offside. So it did feel a bit inconsequential in the end because when you saw the replays, well, for all of us, what we saw, we all thought, well, he would have been offside anyway. But then, of course, when that came back about 20 minutes later and Rory Hamilton said that.
I'm calling in VAR. That was to go 1-0 up.
I say that time we were 1-0 down in the game, and but at the time when
the commentator told us.
So when we'd seen the miss, you're like, It wouldn't have mattered anyway if he stuck it in the net because we would have been offside.
Yes.
But yeah, when he comes back and says that, and at that point you're 1-0 down, you're like, this is going to be one of those nights. It's like we've missed a sitter that would have now been a goal. We've ended up being cut apart with one long pass. That's all it took for them to take the lead. One long pass, completely split our defence. They get a goal. And at that point, I'm just getting deja vu. I'm getting the old, the flashbacks of all the other bad results we've had away from in Europe, where this is going to be an ugly one. You know, we've missed our chances because that's the thing at this level, Terry. You don't take those chances, you know, you will get punished. So at that point in time, and that exact moment, it's like, oh, this is going to be one of those hide behind the couch types of nights, isn't it? It's going to turn into an ugly one. But I did feel though, after they did score, we didn't panic. We didn't do the usual thing that Celtic tend to do on a European night where they might lose 2 rapid-fire goals, do something really daft like get somebody sent off or give away a penalty. We seemed to calm down a bit. There wasn't like this mad rush to get back in the game because it was quite early. Their goal did come. And I thought as building up to our equaliser, we were firmly on top in the game, just in the way we were controlling it. We seemed to be, as I said earlier on, mature would be the word I would use, a mature performance. And I was really impressed at how we didn't push the panic button and self-destruct after they went 1-0 up.
So let's look at that first goal. Austin Trusty does really, really well initially. Gets the ball, brings it out, then gets a little bit ahead of himself and tries to dribble on into the Feyenoord half. He's then dispossessed. And as you say, as quick as anything, one simple ball, Trusty hasn't been able to get back, and just one ball wipes us out and it ends up in the back of our net. Concerning, Phil, that one simple pass can just cause so much damage, and we've seen it before with this Celtic team as well, and we've seen it a few times more in the game. There was one just after we equalised where Maeda gave it away on the edge of their penalty area, and within 2 passes they had a guy in on goal. It felt at that time that Feyenoord were able to do with 2 passes what we were trying to do with 22. And the thing about it was we started okay. I mean, I was just breaking this one down into chunks. How many periods of 10 minutes can we get through without conceding a goal? And we've just about made the first one, and then we conceded. I think they had another chance quite soon after that where it could have gone 2-0, but it didn't. Then we start to sort of creep into it a little bit, and then we have the equaliser from Yang. So McCowan, we'd said about McCowan playing out on the right, and he plays a ball that I thought was very reminiscent of Nicholas Kuhn's signature pass that he played regularly for Alistair Johnson underlapping. It was that kind of one where he's out in the touchline and he plays it with his left foot. But it's not Alistair Johnson, obviously. It's Rio Hatate. At first glance, I thought his hook across could have been a bit more precise, but it was fine. And Yang comes in and a really, really controlled finish. Again, from a guy who, you know, he gets a bit of the jitters sometimes, but he was very composed, and it was a good finish.
It was indeed. And Hatate's ball, with the way he does perform for us at times, you know, he usually looks for an extra pass that isn't there, but this time it was just he checked out. You saw as he ran into position, he made sure that there was no like offside flag or nothing. You know, he was aware of where he was, and that just hooks it into a dangerous area. I mean, their keeper looked like a shaky one all night. Like the goals that he lost, obviously, we'll get on to talk about him. He looked like he was a real weak point for them. But yeah, obviously that hooked ball in, the keeper doesn't really make a move for it. And I gets absolutely, Yang just makes no mistake, just running in at the goalie's near post and just puts his laces through it, just makes no mistake there at all from close range, just making sure that he hits the target and gets it in the net. And I was as surprised as anybody, as I said at the start of the show, looking at the lineup. That was one of the first names I homed in on. And to be fair, many Celtic fans would have, because Yang has got the track record now where, you know, I think most of us are all like, oh, what does he really bring to the club? But fair play, he stood up tonight and I took that chance when it mattered. And I say we were firmly in the game at that point, and very much deserving of the equaliser when it came.
One thing I'll say for Yang, and I've always said it, no matter how bad he has been, when he's been on the pitch, he's never ever hid. He's never hid. He's always, even if he's not getting past his man, even if he can hear the howls of derision coming from the stands, he's always showing for the ball, and he's always trying. Now, what we've seen with Yang, he could play again on Sunday, and he could be absolutely dreadful. He's just that Jekyll and Hyde character.
Yep.
I'm thinking at that point, let's see this through to halftime. Not a bit of it. Dyson Maeda is not having that. There was one time in the first half before we get to the goal where he played a bit of cat and mouse with the keeper. He walked, he didn't commit, and then the keeper took a few steps back to try and give himself a bit of extra run up to the ball, and then Maeda pounced. And that's the bit that's very, very deceptive about him. We've seen him, Phil, when he's running at top speed, but that acceleration from 0 to 60, it's instant. And in that moment where we get the goal, the goalkeeper thinks he's got lots of time, and all he does is he hesitates the slightest wee bit, and Maeda pounces. And again, when it falls to Hatate, another very, very controlled finish. You know, it'd be very easy to have a smash at that, hit it over the bar, something like that. He just controls it, rolls it into the net, and we're 2-1 up away in Europe.
Yeah, indeed. Or in Hatate's case, look for an extra pass when it's absolutely not needed. Could you imagine if something like that happened? Thank God that didn't have to open up. It was a great moment. The work for Maeda off the ball, just to go and close that down. And we've seen it enough times. You know, obviously Feyenoord have not quite done the homework there. We've seen over the last year in particular, Maeda's really, really started to find his mojo, that desire to just keep closing defenders and goalkeepers down. Even in games when we were winning comfortably, he was doing it, you know, and the dying embers of the game were 4-0 up and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's just a bundle of energy. And that goalkeeper says he looks shaky, and Maeda's been more than aware of that. Horrible conditions as well, slippery. You know, it was I think the commentator described it as a dreek night, good Scottish word for it, and it was. So it was like that can obviously play a part. You know, you make the keeper panic a wee bit, balls slippery, underfoot slippery, so that could also cause things as well, cause a bit of trouble for him. And I just puts him under that pressure. And gets a wee nick on it, obviously, as the goalkeeper goes to kick it away. And Reo Hatate, right place, right time, just slots into the net. And as I said earlier on, what do I know? That's me, Yang and Hatate, two players that I looked at in the lineup at the start and went, oh, no, I don't know about they two. And there you go. They proved me wrong. So that's them put us 2-1 up. And I delighted. I was the same as you. When we did get it to 1-1 with Celtic, I agree with what you're talking about with the 10-minute chunks. I'm very much the same. It's all about get through those little milestones along the way. And when you get it back to 1-1, it's like, right, okay, if we can just get it half time, regroup, sitting at 1-1, this is good. But what a bonus to go in 2-1 up. And much like the first goal, I think we deserved it. I don't think it's out of place to say that, we rode our luck there. I think we were in control of the game pretty well. So fair play that we go in 2-1 up, the reward that we deserved.
And then start of the second half, as I said, it was pretty much Celtic bossing it. We were dictating the pace of the game. We were retaining possession. Took Luke McCowan off for Reegan just after the hour mark. And then there was that kind of period that I talked about where Feyenoord started to come on a bit stronger. Schmeichel makes a good save. We bring on Murray for Tierney. So I think it looks like we're back to that scenario where Tierney can't play a full game.
We switched to a back three when we did that, and I think we did that against St Mirren on Saturday night, didn't we? We had Murray in the middle and Trusty and Murray on the right, and Scales was playing left centre back, but a lot of times he was going out to left back because Schmeichel was pinging this sort of pass out to him. And then he was pretty much on the byline, but then Ralston came on to balance it out a wee bit because it did feel like we were playing the three centre backs. So it was we did it on Saturday night as well. But no, when Murray came on, now you're talking about that bit where we sort of lost a bit of control. It was right after Dane Murray and Tenexi came on together, and obviously after Dane Murray's showing at Tynecastle. Again, you don't want to dig the boy out, but you're getting that bad feeling. The second he's came on the park, we've began to lose a bit of control of the game, and you're like, oh no. You could feel it building, the corner after corner moment where there was just like 3 or 4 corners in a row and we just couldn't get out.
Well, there was a period there where you had a defence of Donovan, Murray, Trusty, and Scales at left back. And with all due respect to those guys, at the start of the season, we would have looked at that and said, that's a reserve back four, essentially. You know, certainly in terms of names. Now, young Donovan's come in and he started off brilliant. He's made mistakes in virtually every game, but that's going to happen when a young kid's coming in. And I thought he'd done really, really well tonight. Murray again. We need to see what Brendan Rodgers seen when he basically said that this guy was his guy. We're sitting here 4 years. He's played about 10 games for Celtic, so we need to understand what he's all about. And Scales, to be fair, Scales is now in our starting 11. He's seen off enough other players, and he's now shown on the international stage at least that he can play on the left back, which again, previous manager wasn't too fussed about playing him there. We then Tierney obviously went off. Tanetki came on for Yang. Feyenoord, little period of pressure. They had a shot that was deflected. Looked as if it was going in. From the resultant corner, they hit the bar, and that was it kind of fizzled out from then. We reasserted. There was one, probably my favourite moment of the whole game was the Arnie Engels pass for Tanetki, and only his first touch was so poor. He was cleaning on goal, and that was the chance to go and win the game. There was another brilliant pass in the first half as well. Hatate for Yang, another Reegan ball. But I love that pass from Engels. It was exquisite. But Tanetki, again, the argument people have against him is end product, and he had a chance there to get in on goal and get a shot away, and he contrives to find a way not to have an effort on goal almost.
Not confident enough to shoot on his left foot. That's what it was. He wanted to cut in on his right foot, took too many touches to steady himself, and gave Feyenoord time to recover. Chance
was gone. However, wasn't long. We didn't have to wait long. A rocket from substitute Ben Negrin. Donovan crosses the ball in. It looked as if it was just going to run through to the goalkeeper, but again, Maida pounces once more, appears from nowhere, flicks it back, and Ben Negrin absolutely unleashes one. That crossbar will still be shaking right now. What a moment, because I said to my dad at that point, I said, we can still lose this.
Nothing's safe for Celtic in Europe. Nothing is safe.
I says, we can still lose this. There's 9 minutes to go, maybe 5 to be added on. But we can still lose this. And then I'm counting down the final sort of thing, thinking, if we get to 88 here, we'll definitely get a point. But no, once we got to that moment, the game was done. As you said, Ralston came on. You know what I really liked? I liked Negrin's finish. It always looks brilliant when it goes in off the crossbar.
Aye.
There's another side to that one. 2 inches higher, and that's over the bar, and you're one typical Negrin.
It reminded me earlier this season we were playing Motherwell, I want to say, at Celtic Park, and the goalkeeper passed it right out to Negrin. He takes a touch, and he nearly conspired to miss that day. It hit the post and went in, and that was like that today. Obviously, Maeda. I mean, that goalkeeper. He's been having nightmares about Maeda. The way he's haunted him tonight. He's ghosted in there, won the ball, laid it back, and as it's coming back to Negrin, you can see it's coming to his left side. So from our point of view as fans, you think, well, it's coming to his stronger side. All he's got to do is just side foot it first time into the net. But he takes a touch to steady himself, and that's where you're getting a bit panicky, like shouting, shoot! He takes a touch, steadies it, but pings it in off the bar, and it's like, man, it was almost like that goal against Motherwell. He almost conspired to miss it that day. But no, what a moment when it went in. And I could be... I've got a vision in my head. I'm pretty sure when we beat Ajax all those years ago, another 3-1 victory in Holland.
I was thinking about this too, actually.
One of the goals went in off the crossbar. Bobby Peters one, wasn't it? It was like, in off the crossbar.
I was sitting thinking about this. I was sitting thinking about this and thinking, have I just made that up? Because
Chris Sutton's definitely bounced off the crossbar, and his header definitely hits the bar. But I feel like in my head I can see Bobby Peters one bending in, and it clipped the bar on the way in. I know Agat's one was just he ran through and slotted it past the keeper. but I feel like Peters one clipped the bar as
well.
There
was definitely a goal in Holland
yeah.
in Martin O'Neill's first spell where it went in off the crossbar. But what I really liked, what was getting to there, apart from the finish, apart from it flying in off the bar, which looks great, what I loved was the celebrations after.
Yes.
Where the whole team congregated in the technical area. But the bit that I want to pull out is Negrin and Luke McCowan exchanged pleasantries. And McCowan played the first half. He came off, Negrin went on. And I just thought, in that moment, that's something to really, really build on there. That's team spirit. The guy, Negrin was sub and probably felt he should have been playing. McCowan started and maybe felt he'd done enough not to come off. But when Negrin gets the goal, it's McCowan that's there to meet him when he runs across. I thought that was really good, really good. And that gives you some kind of comfort that there's a bit of team spirit there, something that felt as if it was lost earlier in the season. And again, if Martins had something to do in that, or Sean or Fozzie or McManus or anyone, if someone's played a part in that, then that's really, really good. And I hope that continues to fester, I suppose, whenever the new manager comes in. But that was definitely a good sign. So game's done. We've won. We're now on 7 points.
7 points, yep.
We need these other games to finish to see how that plays out. But that would take us into certainly in terms of position, that would take us comfortably into the 24. I think it would only leave us though 1 point better off than the team that's in 24th. So it's still quite perilous with 3 games left. Couple of tough games. Well, they're all going to be tough, let's face it. But I would say, Phil, if we get 4 points out of these last 3 games, would be quite unfortunate not to make it through.
I would go with that. Yeah, obviously last year was the first year of this new format, and going into it with the unknown, all the pundits were speculating that 10 points would be enough. But I believe in the Champions League last season it was 11 points. We finished on 12, and the Europa League was 10 points because again it's the same format. And because this is the second season, you just don't know. I mean, they've not got enough seasons of this format to get an average of what it's going to be. So you would think that 10 points is probably in that territory. The one thing that is a concern is goal difference, because if there's a few teams tied on 10 points, you can't do record against, because obviously every team hasn't played all the same teams. So it comes down to goal difference, and right now we're in a negative. So we need to really win at least one of these remaining games. And if we get a point, takes us to 11, should be okay. But the win that we do get, we probably get as many goals on the board as possible, and that's easier said than done. So again, you probably target Utrecht now as the game, and it's the last game. Do we want it to go down to the last game about qualifying? But it might just pan out that way. My big concern when the fixtures came out was the Roma ones, obviously the box office game. And I thought, well, okay, we want that game to be a sort of, we've done the hard work in the other games, and that one, we're not going in with a position where we've got to win tonight, because Roma are obviously by far and away the best team out of all the teams we're going to play. But with this result tonight, we have put ourselves in a position where, okay, with the Braga game set us back a step, but I say this one has negated the Braga result now and put us in a position where Roma, we just go in and we give it our best shot. Hopefully we can have one of those nights, one of those magical nights in Europe at Celtic Park, where it just happens under the lights. But again, it's probably the Utrecht game we're going to have to target for the 1 to 3 points. And Bologna, bit of an unknown quantity, but the last time I checked the Serie A table, Bologna were in the top 6, so they are obviously a decent team, having won the equivalent of the FA Cup in Italy last season as well, the Coppa Italia. So they're a team that we can't just look past as well. But yeah, we've gave ourselves a fighting chance at least, Terry, because the defeat tonight, we were staring down the barrel of 3 probably dead rubbers between now and the end of the group, because even with a win against somebody along the way, I say goal difference is going to be a killer for us. So we put ourselves in a good spot now to get into double figure points, and we need to rack up some goals along the way, mate, to give us the best fighting chance here.
So in the live table right now, obviously some of these games are still in play. Sure. Celtic are in 21st 21st position on 7 points, and the team in 25th are on 6. Out of the teams below us, only one team doesn't have a negative goal difference, and our negative goal difference is better than all the other negative goal differences. Bologna are only 1 point ahead of us right now, and Roma are 2 points ahead of us right now. And there's a couple of things at play there as well. Roma are at the top of Serie A, and that's a bit of a surprise. And I would expect that their attitude would be to just make sure they're in the 24 in this and continue to try and stay at the top of the league for as much as they can. But we don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll fire up the next 5 here very quickly, Phil, just so that we can see what's on the horizon.
I'll take the wee banner out the way. 2 ticks.
There you go. Hibs on Sunday. Then we have what we believe will be Wilfred's first game on Wednesday night. Then we've got the big one, Hearts at Celtic Park on Sunday. Then we've got Roma, which when that comes round, that'll be a big one as well. And then we've got the cup final against St Mirren. So an exciting sort of period to look forward to. Just to bring tonight's sort of review of the game to a close, a couple of players I want to call out. I thought Maeda was excellent. Everyone seems to be convinced that come 1 minute past midnight on the 1st of January, Dyson's going to be off. I'm not totally convinced that that'll be the case. If it is, I don't think there's a Celtic fan that will have anything negative to say. It'll be the same for me. Once he goes, that's it. I won't be looking to see how he does. I don't care how he does. But I think if ever there was a guy who came in and gave you absolutely everything that he's got, it's that wee man. And you've seen that tonight with the 2 goals that we got. If you've got a player who is only half-arsed, then he doesn't create those 2 opportunities. It's an important 6 months for him as well, coming up to the World Cup. So if he stays at Celtic, he knows he's going to play, because even if we go and get a first-choice centre-forward in January, Maeda will just play on one of the wings. He'll play. If he stays with Celtic, he'll play. If he goes somewhere else, there is a chance that he may not get the same game time. Does that impact his place in the World Cup? Those are things for him to think about. And whilst the move a couple of months ago might have been really, really close, that doesn't mean that's still on the table. I'm sure he will have options, but I just don't think it's an absolute given that, as I say, as the clock strikes midnight and Old Lang Syne starts, that Dyson's got his back over his shoulder and he's heading down the Celtic way for the last time. I'm not certain that that's the case. I thought the captain was brilliant again tonight. I thought after that, after that moment on Saturday, that moment of brilliance, thought a lot of hard work, a lot of hard yards. Really, really good. I thought Arnie Engels had a better performance. One of his better games, big, strong, solid. And again, that pass was superb.
I said earlier on as well, just about the street smarts that we showed tonight. There was a couple instances where McGregor and Engels just took one for the team just to stop them from counting. To be fair, the Engels one was quite a meaty one, and I think VAR did look at it, because my initial thought when he dived in, I was like, "Oh, this could get bad," but obviously got away with it. But yeah, again, it's just like taking one for the team just to stop the counter attack. It's something we need to do. I'm not saying we need to be kicking players and all that, but you need to just be with those wee cynical fouls just to stop it, because we are our own worst enemy in Europe at times. We can be a soft touch. We allow teams to breeze through us. And tonight, there was just a few moments where I was like, when we got the point last year in Bergamo against Atalanta, there was a few moments like that where we did what we had to do. We had to make it a wee bit ugly at times, just to kind of drag it to a new level, to make sure we got out of there with a result that night. And I say tonight was the same. There was a few moments where I took the initiative and just take one for the team, just to stop them from breaking on us here.
On a night when we had so many good performers, my favourite performance was Hatate.
Rio.
I really, really enjoyed his performance. There was once once when he gave the ball away that kind of led to semi-dangerous attack. But I just thought there was a lot of really, really good stuff that he done in the game. Wonder pass in the first half, really nice and tidy in the midfield. Just thought it was a wee bit more like the player that we know that's in there that we just haven't really seen consistently for the last 18 months. And again, he's maybe one that people might think could move on in January. Let's see how all of that plays out. I just thought he was really, really good tonight, and hopefully all the players can continue this on into Sunday, because Sunday's massive, Phil.
Yeah.
We've managed to get ourselves back into this title race. Mm-hmm. We've managed to reel Hearts into 4 points with us having a game in hand. Game in hand is at home to Dundee. I'm not going to go there and say that that's a gimme 3 points, because we've already been there with Dundee this season when Stephen Presley absolutely ripped Brendan Rodgers a new one.
Oh no, the game in hand is away to Dundee United. See that Dundee game? It's a full SPL card.
It's
a full SPL card.
Right. Yeah, all right. I thought that was the game in hand. Right.
The Dundee United game at Tannadice was meant to be on the weekend. We played Rangers in the Cup semi-final. It's now on December 17th. December 17th.
Right, so that's just before Christmas, right? So there's a full programme during the week, right? I just thought it was us and Dundee. Right. I'm a dickhead. Ignore me.
That's all right. All right.
We still have to play Dundee on Wednesday night. That much is true.
Yes, we do.
And we will not underestimate them. And all things told, that's then going to be the new manager's first game. What are you thinking ahead of Hibs, Phil? It is going to be a tough game. They got beat by Motherwell during the last couple of nights there. If we play like we did tonight, we'll go to Easter Road and we'll take the 3 points handy enough. If we play like we did at St Mirren on Saturday night, we'll struggle to get anything out of the game.
Yeah, that's exactly my feeling on it, because Hibs have got a much better attacking threat than what St Mirren had last week. And yeah, you look at that performance last Saturday, rode a lot quite a bit against bloody St Mirren, got out of there in the end. It's like we can't afford to do that against Hibs, because they have got a really good record against us at Easter Road in particular in recent years, since they came back up to the Premiership, because they obviously spent most of the 2010s in the second tier with Rangers and Hearts at times. But since Hibs came back up in 2017, their record through Easter Road, Brendan Rodgers had a horrific record there. And obviously there was a COVID season. I think we didn't win there that season. Ange had a 0-0 draw in his first game, I think, at Easter Road. I'm pretty sure he dropped points. I know that Brendan drew 0-0 on his first game back and then lost there as well. So it is a ground that we've got a few problems at. But they're one of these teams, Hibs, where they're not like a Dundee or a Falkirk that will sit with 10 men behind the ball, which I think is our Achilles heel. I think one of the reasons why tonight was such a contrast to last Saturday, St Mirren very much regimented defensive unit, 10 men behind the ball, they'll stodge it up. Feyenoord tonight needed a result, so they had to come out and open up, and allowed us to get into the spaces in behind. But Hibs seem to be a team that don't really look to play 10 men behind the ball and stodge it up 9 in front of their own fans. They'll be a bit open. So hopefully that can benefit us, because a guy like Daizen Maeda can get in behind into these spaces and we can exploit it. Because I know they kept a clean sheet when they came to Celtic Park a couple of months ago, but when they've got guys like Grant Hanley in their back line, who might be suspended actually when I think about it, he gets sent off through the week, didn't he? Against Motherwell, I'm sure Grant Hanley got a red card, but if he is playing, and again, if it's guys like him in the back line, if we can't stretch that back line and get him behind when he's playing, it's like, then that's very, very worrying. So I'd like to think that, Hibs will be quite open in the way that they play, and it will benefit us, because it seems to be our Achilles heel, Terry, as these 10 men behind the ball teams. And hopefully the new manager, who of course we believe will be Wilfred Nancy, can exploit that, can find a way to break those teams down. Because I'll also talk more about the manager appointment when it happens, because it looks like we kind of guess who it's going to be. But that is my biggest question mark over him. He's getting a lot of, when you read up on the things about his style of play and how it all transpires on the park, it's like, that's good in the MLS, but I think we're having no relegation in the MLS, and the whole idea that, like, I think it's like the top 8 in both conferences go through to the playoffs. So you don't even need to finish top of the conference to get through to the playoffs. To me, I think a lot of their games will be very open. So I think that's why his style of play got a lot of reviews. And I'm like, he's coming to a league now where you're going to have to play some really stodgy teams who will sit with no attacking ambition at all against you. And I want to see how that comes to fruition when he comes through the door. That's the only concern I've got right now about him.
Yeah, and it is exciting that you've got somebody coming in that's something completely different. We're not going back to another manager who's already managed us, and you know what you're getting. Now, that said, he cannot. There's no settling in period here. This guy needs to know there's no settling in period. You don't get a month for your tactics to bed in. You haven't got a month. You've got to win every single game that you play. But he must know that. And I think as well, he must also know about the unrest that there is at the club as well. He has to. And the minute he sets his bum down in front of the press, he's going to get asked questions about all the same stuff that Brendan Rodgers was asked questions about and Martin O'Neill was asked questions about, simply because the manager is the only person who comes out and speaks to anybody. But notwithstanding that, as Boise would always say, he wants to come here and do this. So I think there's a bit of balls there. He'll have seen, Mick, have no doubt about it, he'll have seen what happened at that AGM last week. And you could forgive somebody in another country, much better climate, stock's really high. I'll wait for another chance. I want to come to Europe, but Celtic's not the only chance. He's going to get more chances. And he looks at that and he still wants to come. So I think the guy's got a bit of balls. If you look into him a little bit, he seems ballsy, and he's going to have to be, because he's going to come up against the same challenges that every Celtic manager over the last 20, 30 years has come up against. I only hope he comes in and he hits the ground running. And I just have this vision, and I hope it comes to fruition, where Celtic win the league, and who walks up the Celtic way with the league trophy to present it? Martin O'Neill.
As in his wee green Ferrari as he drives up the Celtic way, Terry? Is he coming up in his wee Ferrari?
No, he'd be in a Honda Civic, and he'd be
Honda Civic, a green Honda Civic,
250 miles an hour. Martin will walk up the Celtic way, and he'll walk onto the pitch, and he will present the league trophy to. Oh,
he definitely him and. Well, I think Sean Maloney might be part of the background team.
I hope so. I've been thinking that, Phil. I've been thinking that, and I would like to see Maloney involved, because whilst Martin's getting all the credit, I think Maloney will have played a significant part in this. He has to have, because even when Martin was here before, he wasn't hands-on. He was your team talk an hour before kickoff, get everybody wound up, tell them they're absolutely brilliant. That's what he done. And I know we've seen footage of him on the training ground, but I would imagine Maloney's had a big influence. And I also think all those other guys, Fozzie, McManus, I include Strachan, everyone, I think they'll all have made a real contribution here. Now, there's not going to be room. I don't think there's going to be room for more than one first team coach. So if it's Maloney, I think you might see Strachan gone, or it might be Strachan and Maloney goes back to his other role. It depends how many of the entourage comes in here. Earlier in the week, they were talking 4, as many as 5. But reports that I've read today, there was only 2 that were kind of narrowed down. So we need to see how that plays out. If he only brings his assistant, then he's going to be leaning on some of the guys that are already there. If he brings the whole thing, then there might not be much room for many of those guys. So we'll see how that plays out.
I've read a couple of conflicting reports about this, probably the same ones you read, where one of them said that he himself has sounded out somebody who's got a knowledge of Celtic and a knowledge of Scottish football, a former colleague of his. So a lot of people are thinking, is it Victor Wanyama coming in as a coach? Because he played for Wilfred Nancy at Montreal. and obviously played with Celtic and has knowledge of Scottish football. But then other ones are saying that somebody on his backroom team who's there now.
I think it's Ampadu.
I suppose I mean his son plays for Leeds and is a Welsh international.
Ampadu himself. I might be wrong in this. He's Irish. He's half Irish.
Ah, right, okay. Because I say his son plays for Wales, doesn't he?
Yeah, son plays for Wales. Ampadu's half Irish.
Right.
I think he may have spent a part of his youth in Ireland. Right. And he's obviously mates with Tisdale. So I think people automatically think it's somebody else. I think it's just him.
I think if Maloney is kept on, I think there's also a connection there that goes back to Wilfred the fact that Thierry Henry worked with the Belgium coaching staff for a while, and obviously at the same time as Sean Maloney. So Thierry Henry was obviously a manager out in the USA, and Wilfred Dunsey was his. Maybe he's got in his ear and said that Maloney, he's he got good ball knowledge essentially. So maybe that's the link.
If I had to put money on it, I would say Maloney will be involved. I would like to see that, because I think he'll have made a good contribution in what's happened, whereas Martin is the one getting all the plaudits. But here, it all counts for nothing, Phil. If we don't get the 3 on Sunday,
agreed.
But anyway, we'll be here Sunday, roughly around about 3 o'clock. Did we say?
Well, you said, did you say you have to watch the game on a delay on Sunday, so it might be a wee bit later than expected?
But I'll be caught up. So the game will be over. The game will be over at 1:45. I'll be caught up. I'll be caught up and ready to go round about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so I will have a post match show on Sunday. I'll be on tomorrow as well. Me and the wise man Liam will be here as usual on a Friday night, as we do 9 o'clock. Friday feeling look ahead to the Hibs game. As you say, it is must win. We can't afford to be dropping points after clawing it back to what it is. It's ahead of playing Hearts in another week, so it's like we need to keep the pressure on. We need to keep winning games. Our team is held together by sticky tape at the moment, but we're finding a way just to grind our way through it, and that's all we can do at the moment. And then hopefully, when the new manager comes in and when the January window opens, I know it's a naive thought maybe with the way the Celtic board form, but my God, they have to open up the checkbook in January. They have to. Because I say this team is getting held together right now by almost sticky tape, so we need to fix some of the glaring holes for the second half of the season. And but I say tomorrow night I will be here with Liam to look ahead to Celtic against Hibs on Sunday.
Okay, thank you to everyone. We were about 150 deep there for most of that, so thank you all very much. If you haven't liked, give us a little like just before you drop off.
Indeed. Yeah, we'll catch you later, guys, and well done, Celtic. On to the next one. Here we go, guys. Catch you later, folks.